Hey guys, welcome back in and a very happy, good Lord, what is today? Friday it is, I believe. I noticed because it's the final Friday of July. Yikes. August just around the corner, but we still got plenty of great races around the country, especially two of our favorite tracks, Saratoga and, of course, Del Mar. And, well, these guys know a thing or two about it as we welcome in the pundits straight from, in fact, front row seats there at the paddock. Mr. Marco D'Angelo back in the house here, guys, on vacation. Hung out. I can't wait to hear how Del Mar was. And, of course, Saratoga is certainly on Sig's mind these days, including for this race here coming up, the Jim Dandy Stakes, race number 9 at Saratoga this weekend. But Marco, I got to tell you, I'm shocked you're not on vacation. But it's a pleasure to see you again. Really is. How was Del Mar, and how was your week, man?
The week was good. I picked better while I was on vacation than now that I'm back in Vegas the last couple days, thanks to some bullpen blow-ups. Have I ever mentioned how much I hate bullpens? But situation Del Mar, we had 6 straight winning days while we were on the West Coast there, and really fun treat for me on Saturday at Del Mar. I do a radio show on Fridays here in Vegas, live at the Cosmo. We had been doing it, and I got to be friends with one of the main guys at Cosmo, who also happens to have horses. And when we were in Del Mar, he had 2 of them racing, actually 3. 2 of them were in the same race, 2 stake races. He won them both. So myself and Lori got to go to the winner's circle at Del Mar, and that was fun. I can tell you that the winner's circle photo at Del Mar had more people in the winner's circle photo than probably is in attendance at my home track back in Pittsburgh. So it was a fun time. But I'll tell you what was even more enjoyable was finding out that our boy Sig on Sunday, a unique situation, and I'll let him tell you about it, but it's one of the few times that you can make one bet and cash it 8 frickin' times. Let Sig explain what happened on Sunday.
Well, Sig, I didn't get an envelope, so I'm going to assume, it was, we didn't get an invite, we didn't get anything. Talk to us here, Sig, because he's winning 6 days in a row, and you're cashing tickets, on the 8 tickets on the same damn rate? Talk to us. How did this work out here, Sig?
Yeah, Joe, Sunday was a really unique situation. It's funny, actually, it repeated sort of in a different way yesterday for us as well. But let me get to Sunday first, guys, because there's been a lot. I put this out on Twitter on Sunday after it happened, and there were a lot of questions, and a lot of people were happy, a lot of people were a little ticked off, but it really depends on where you bet it at. What happened Sunday in the late pick 5 at Saratoga was race number 7 ended up being declared a no contest after the pick 5 sequence started in race 6. They couldn't get the tractor started to get the gate pulled off of the turf, so it opened up. So when they came back around to come down the stretch run, the tractor was still there on the back stretch. If you go back and watch the race here, you can find it on YouTube. You can find it on the NYRA channel. As they're coming down the backstretch, you're going to see an outrider start to wave down the field to pull them up to keep them from making the turn and going right towards that gate, which luckily they got going and off the track before those horses made the bend. But a few of those horses ended up pulling up, basically taking them out of the race completely. So while the race did finish, and initially they actually did put up, I believe, the order of finish there at the track, they ended up declaring the race a no contest. I think you'll see the explanation on the screen from the NYRA, which ended up giving us all in that race. Well, I didn't like that race in the first place, guys. So when I put the ticket out there on Sunday's sheet, we had already gone all there, you'll see, in race number 7 there. So there ended up, after scratches, being 8 horses that ran in that race. So we ended up hitting that first leg. We got all 8 in that second leg, and then we hit the 3rd, 4th, and 5th leg there, which ended up giving us 8 winning tickets. The end of pick 5 ended up paying, even with all there, over $500 for 150-cent ticket. We had 8 of those. That paid us over $4,100. You'll see the tweet there from one of the followers there. Now, what happened, some of the followers came back and told me, hey, I bet this, and I didn't get paid on it. A lot of those guys bet the races off of an offshore sports book. They set their own rules, and they basically decide what they're going to pay and what they're not going to pay. And in this case, a lot of sports books that were offshore told some of my subscribers that, hey, we're just canceling the bet for you. So they would have got their money back on that, but I believe it was a $120 ticket. Turning it into $120 versus $4,100 is a huge difference there. So it does make a difference where you guys bet. If you guys are looking for an ADW or somewhere to bet here in North America, go ahead and reach out to me, DM me on Twitter. I will try to get you in touch with a couple of different places that may work for your state. If you can't bet there, just be careful where you bet offshore, guys, because look at the rules before you bet and make sure that they will pay based on the pari-mutuel pools and not on their own accord, because they do usually book these bets in-house as they're not usually part of the pick, any of the polls, the win play show, the multi-race wagers, etc. Now, just to touch on yesterday, guys, we ended up coming off the turf after race 6 at Saratoga yesterday for the last 2 races. 9 and 10 were scheduled for the turf, so we ended up getting all in all in those 2 legs. We ended up hitting the late pick 5 11 times yesterday. Now, it only paid $30 and change, but we still returned over $330 on one ticket just based on the changes due to the weather changes. So we've been doing well at Saratoga, guys. Hop on board here. Daily sheet's always up by 9 a.m. It's usually up the day before. I can tell you right now, Saturday's sheet will be up late tonight. I got a little behind in my work here. Somebody kept me out betting horses all day yesterday instead of allowing me to work. We're not going to mention who that is, but he may be sitting in another seat here.
Where is Sean? Oh, Marco's here. That's interesting. Well, listen, the bottom line is both of you, all I heard was cha-ching every time you talk there, Sig. A lot of cash, a lot of tickets. Marco crushing it at Del Mar, Sig crushing it at Saratoga, and there is no reason for you guys not to visit both of them. They told you over at WagerTalk.com right now. In fact, now through the end of the weekend here, you can get 50% off any daily package with Marco right now, as well as Sig. In fact, Sig's daily racing reports, he referenced it there each and every race day, guys, at 9 a.m. They will be posted and sent directly to you. Hop on board with both of these guys, crushing it, Marco crushing it across the sports landscape, as well as this swing right now with Del Mar and Saratoga. We've got it all covered for you here, guys, including this Jim Dandy Stakes coming up here tomorrow at Saratoga. Now, 5 horses here is what it looks like we've got left, but it's quality, right? Not quantity, and that's what it's all about. So, number 1, Western River. Marco, it's been a while, so you tell me, you want me to come to you? You both want to comment on these? What do you want to do here, Marco?
Well, number 1, Western River has been scratched, making this 5-horse field down to 4.
4 now.
And, you may wonder, why did we pick this race with so few horses? The 4 horses that are left in this race, maybe, 4 of the top, 10 horses in the country. Not only that, you're getting 4 of the best jockeys in the world riding in this race. So this is going to be, not only when you handicap it, looking at talent, in the talent margin, the difference between top to bottom is not much. And then you got to look as a 4-horse field, it becomes more of a tactical race, and the riders become involved, and you got the four of the best in the country. So this is going to be one Jim Dandy of a horse race, that's for sure. And so skip Western River and just go into Epicenter. And you know how I feel about Epicenter. I mean, this horse got me so close to the big score in the Derby. And, if it wasn't for that perfect ride by Rich Strike and a 1 in a million shot coming up the rail the way he did, we would have had that Kentucky Derby winner, would have had that big future score. But let's be honest, there's hardly anything you can fault about what Epicenter has done all year long. This is a horse that's answered the bell in every race. He's danced the big races. And you know what? The Derby race, he was in the middle of the pack, maybe a little bit, closer to the pace than some of those other ones that came from way back. So the fact that he did have the lead in deep stretch was pretty impressive to me. Now, he hasn't raced since the Preakness. He came right back and raced in the Preakness, and that was not his race. He got out of the gate just a step slower than he usually does. But what really did it in for him is two horses, when he was trying to go for that early position, pinched him off, and he had to change racing style dramatically. He actually got away next to last. Rallied, almost looked like Rich Strike coming up the rail in the Preakness, but he ran out of track and finished second. He needed a little break. They gave it to him. He should be better for it. Obviously, a 4-horse field, he's going to hit the ticket, but is he going to be my winner in this race? You'll find out later.
Ooh, I like that. Hell of a tease. I just saw 20-1 and figured for sure he was going to pass it to you, Sig. Talk to me here with, are we going to move on to Tawny Port here, Sig? 8-1.
Now, get Sig's opinion on Epicenter.
Oh, I figured, because, listen, there's only 4 horses. I'm figuring on your cards. You're all going to have the same horses in one way, shape, form, or the other. So, Sig, give me Epicenter and then give me Tawny Port. What do you think?
Yeah, Joe, Epicenter, he was the bridesmaid of the first 2 Triple Crown races, running second in both the Kentucky Derby and the Preakness here. He went off as the favorite in each of those races. He's been off for those 2 months, like Marco just mentioned, since the Preakness performance. That's going to be the longest break of his career. So how he responds to having that layoff is going to be interesting to me. He's faced the toughest competition of anyone in this field, and he always shows up every time he's asked. He's a very professional racehorse here. But he reminds me a lot. I went back and looked at Steve Asmussen. He had a runner named Gunrunner a few years ago. You guys may have heard of him. Gunrunner ended up finishing 4th in his Kentucky Derby in his 3-year-old season. After that, he went on to hit the board in 12 of his next 13 races before he was retired. 8 of those were wins. So Steve Asmussen doesn't train these horses up to the Triple Crown. He trains them through and as they mature. So Epicenter's had a few more months here to grow. The guy gets stronger, get bigger here. I think he's going to have a nice race in here. It's going to really come down, I think, to how the pace battle sets up. I think Rosario on Epicenter has been rating him the past couple races just off the early lead. I think he lets early voting go to the early lead, but it's not going to let Jose Ortiz on early voting set too slow a fraction. So this race should set up pretty well, I think, for 2 of the closers in this field, which are Zandon and Tawny Port. So that's going to be a very interesting race. I think we're going to see a great stretch run here. But I just mentioned Tawny Port. That's a 3-horse to skip right to Tawny Port here. Brad Cox trains him. He's rattled off 4 nice starts in a row here, including running second in the Jeff Ruby Stakes at Turfway. He had to lock up his spot, though, 2 weeks later at Keeneland in the Lexington, where he finished first, got himself a spot in the Kentucky Derby gate. And if you look there, you say, oh, well, he finished 7th in the Derby. But remember, guys, they set crazy early fractions to foreign horses in that Kentucky Derby there. If you go back and look at the past performances here, he kept Tawny Port. Ricardo Santana was aboard that day. He kept Tawny Port really close to those fast early fractions. He was 11 lengths back and then 8 lengths back. They get to the stretch run. He's only 5 lengths off the leaders there. He finished less than 5 lengths, even though he finished 7th off a Rich Strike at the end of that race. He was running great. Now, then he comes back. He wins the Ohio Derby in June at Thistle. If you go back and watch that race, Irad Ortiz had the mount for the first time on that horse. He wound him up before they got to the far turn, and that horse just took off. It was like he pushed a button, and that horse just found another gear and went flying. He was wide the entire time, came down the center of the stretch, and basically blew by White Abarrio and Classic Causeway to take that win in the Ohio Derby. I'd like to see that run. If he can get a setup similar to that and get a nice late run there, he's going to be your longest shot on the board here for sure. He's listed 8-1 your morning line. I think this betting is going to be pretty spread out. So no matter how you decide to bet it, you're going to be able to make some money in this race as long as you don't stretch it out too far. So, guys, you're going to have to settle on who you think is going to win this race, how you think it's going to finish up, and then you're going to have to bet it that way because spreading it out is just going to end up costing you money in the long run. So, Tawny Port here, I think Tawny Port is a contender in this field depending on how the race sets up. But when we get to the actual selections here, you guys will know where I have him ranked.
All right, Marco, what do you think? He's been training at Saratoga since that Ohio Derby here. What do you think of Tawny Port?
Yeah, Tawny Port's definitely a horse that's heading in the right direction. Go back real quick to the Kentucky Derby. One of the other factors there, where the fast fractions and then, he just tired out a little bit, but still was only beaten, like Sig said, less than 5 lengths. If you remember, when he had to race in that Lexington Stakes to get the points to get in, that meant that he was racing 3 races in 5 weeks when he went to the Derby. That's tough for young horses. We know why that's so tough, because that's the setup for the Triple Crown races the Derby, the Preakness, and the Belmont, basically the only time in a horse's career that they'll have 3 races in a 5-week span. So he needed the break after the Kentucky Derby, and he responded well in the Ohio Derby, which now, second off that little break that he had, he should be even better here. This is a horse, again, there's only 4 left in it. You're going to have to try to decide exactly where these horses are going to finish at and try to cold punch this race. Tawny Port heading in the right direction. I don't think he's going to be a win candidate for me, but I'll confirm that in a little bit. But again, he's there for 3rd or 4th in this ticket.
All right, well then we'll move on to the number 4 horse here, early voting, Sig, and feels like, well, he's improved just about every start here. So what do you think at 8-5 for the morning line? Where does early voting fit in?
Yeah, Joe, the Preakness winner, he's basically, like you said, he's improved in every start here. Chad Brown has him making his return to the track after a few months off. And if you go back and look at his running lines here, he's had a few months off between every one of these starts and always responded here. The lone blemish on that past performance is that second-place finish in the Wood Memorial. It says here by a neck. It was more like by a nose, guys. Mo Donegal just got up late to nip him at the wire in that race there. Otherwise, you're looking at an undefeated racehorse here. Like I say, he broke his maiden last year at Aqueduct late in the year. They brought him back. He won the Withers convincingly, controlled the race the entire way. Looked like he was going to control the Wood as well until Mo Donegal, who did come back and win the Belmont, guys. So he's a pretty good racehorse, nipped him at the wire there. And then he followed the same path that Chad Brown's Good Magic did a few years back, skipping the Derby, going right to the Preakness, and he basically took control of that race and They said that they went slow enough on the front end that he didn't have to exert a whole lot of energy. Jose saved them, they did it all for the stretch run, and he was able to hold off Epicenter and create a minister there. I expect Epicenter and early voting to be together early in this race here. I think Epicenter and Rosario are going to let early voting take the early lead, but not let Jose set slow enough fractions to have that much left in the tank here. So there might be a nice setup here for those 2 closers in this field in Tawny Port and Zandon. With the race setup, early voting has a shot against this field, but I believe this race is going to set up better for others. You'll know my thoughts on early voting when we get to the selections.
All right, what do you think there, Marco? Early voting on the draws the outside spot here. What do you think?
Yeah, early voting is going to be the pace setter. There is no question about that in this race, in my opinion. The other thing is he does have the most upside if you look at the horses. You hear me talk about number of starts. This horse only has 4 career starts. That's usually what we see from the horses, that are about to enter the Derby. They're going to have generally 4 or 5, and then you go through the Triple Crown series. This horse they've taken their time. He was a $200,000 yearling purchase, and he has gotten better in each race. If you look at his speed figures, in that race that he did get nipped at, the horse that beat him came from way back, and I honestly don't think the jockey saw the horse coming on the outside, and got caught at the wire. This is a horse that's 3 of 4, and that only lost the neck. You figure less than a neck, this horse could be undefeated, and that would be a totally different story heading into here. The problem is everybody thinks it's a short field and that there's not going to be any pace in here. That may be true, but all the horses are going to be bunched up, which means you're going to have a long, sustained stretch drive in this race, which sometimes sets it up for the horse that's the second horse coming from behind, because the pace setter is going to do battle with whoever comes at him first, and we know early voting is going to be the pace setter. So whoever attacks him first, those 2 might soften each other up and let the horse coming off the back of the first up horse get the job done. I like early voting. He should be 1-2, but I think he's going to get beat.
Ooh, he's calling it. I love it. All right, well, we got 1 horse left here, guys, and that is the number 5 Zandon. I guess, it's only fitting here, Sig, over the last couple of weeks. Of course it's another Chad Brown horse, because he always seems to have 9 in every race we cover here. So talk to us. Number 5, Zandon at 2-1 in the morning line. What do you think?
Yeah, Joe, you're right. Once again, Chad Brown has half the field of the major stake at a New York track. Can't believe that.
Shocker.
But Zandon here has been off since the Kentucky Derby, guys, where I'll admit it, I'm still seeing, I saw dollar signs when Zandon and Epicenter were doing battle down the stretch there. I had a nice future on them. And Marco, my buddy there, had a nice future on Epicenter. So we were both basically waiting to cash those futures tickets when Rich Strike crushed those dreams that day. But Zandon's been off since that Kentucky Derby here for Chad Brown. Flavian Pratt was aboard him that day. He was also aboard him the day he dominated in the Toyota Bluegrass. And he's aboard for the 3rd time this time on Zandon. I think the 3rd time the charm this time for the Chad Brown, Flavian Pratt combination. They've been winning at a 30% clip when Pratt rides for Chad Brown. He kept Zandon very close to that early pace in the Derby, and that basically ended up as fast as they went. It left them on a gas for that stretch run. So even though he was battling Epicenter, the more I went back and watched that race, he was never going to get by Epicenter, no matter how hard he tried in that race there. But with his additional time to rest since that, he's been almost 3 months that he's been off there since that, to further develop, as well as Pratt's familiarity with this horse being his 3rd mount on him. I think he's one of your top contenders in this field, and I think this race sets up very well for Zandon.
All right. Well, Marco, what do you think here? Are you a Zandon fan here?
Yeah, I am a Zandon fan, and as I kind of alluded to, the way I thought this race was going to develop, early voting is going to be on top. I think the first horse that's going to make the run at him is going to be Epicenter. And I think those two are going to have a long, sustained battle in the stretch. But I think the horse coming off of Epicenter's back is going to be Zandon. And if you go back to the Derby, and everything that Sig said was absolutely right, and he was correct. He wasn't getting by Epicenter that day. So it would have been my future ticket that was going to cash if it wasn't for Rich Strike. But I think it was very ambitious and aggressively to get Zandon to the Kentucky Derby. This is a horse, only 5 career starts, didn't dance all of the dances that some of the other horses did. But what this horse did do is he broke his maiden in his first start. And then he had 4 graded stakes in a row. He hasn't missed the ticket yet this year, and those were on large fields. So in this field, it's going to be small. Obviously, he's going to hit the ticket. His biggest problem is himself. He gets himself into trouble because he breaks slowly out of the gate. Well, he can break slowly out of the gate here again. That doesn't matter because there's only 4 horses in the race. He's not going to be that far back. And I think he's going to get the perfect trip. As I said, it's going to be a tactical race. And drivers, jockeys, Flavian Pratt was my favorite guy on the West Coast, and he's making a lot of noise with his first venture to stay on the East Coast this summer. I think he gets the job done. I think he passes Epicenter in early voting in the deep stretch, and that will be my horse on top, Zandon.
All right, there you go. Well, it should be, listen, like we said, quality, right? Not quantity, and this is 4 of the best, 3 of the best trainers, because Chad Brown. But we do have 4 of the best jockeys and 4 of the best 3-year-olds. So when you put it all together here, Sig, kick us off. What does that card of yours look like in this race?
Well, Joe, I'll guarantee that my 4 horses hit the superfecta here, though I doubt there's going to be superfecta wagering on this race. I landed on the 5 Zandon, guys. I think this race sets up very well for him. I think Marco gave you a good description of how I think we see the race the same way, early voting going to the lead, Epicenter being the first challenger. And if those two do run each other out, I think Zandon gets first shot at picking up the pieces here. Epicenter, I think, holds on for second. I got him in the 2 spot. I think Tawny Port's going to come running late as he did in the Ohio Derby. Irad's going to fire him up for Brad Cox. And I think that late run, I got him in the 3rd spot. And early voting, who I see on the early lead, is going to take that challenge from Epicenter, and it's going to see how much he really has left in the tank and how much he's got for him. I think he fades though late here, and I go 5, 2, 3, 4 with Zandon, Epicenter, Tawny Port, and early voting, guys, in the Jim Dandy.
Well, there it is. 5, 2, 3, and 4 for a Sig. And I bet, Marco, those horses are going to show up on your card as well. So go ahead. Tell us what you got here, Marco. What's your card look like?
Joe, that's why we have you as the host of this show, because you are razor sharp that I'm going to have those 4 horses in some combination. That's why you get the big bucks, buddy.
That's correct.
Yes, those are going to be my numbers, but I'm flip-flopping the 3rd and 4th place finish. I have Zandon number 5 on top. I have Epicenter number 2 second, and then I'm going to go with early voting to hold the 3rd spot in Tawny Port to finish 4th in this race. What I will probably do is do this basically like a cold punch exacta. I'm going to go 5 with 2 and then put the other 2 horses in the 3rd and 4th spot and just cold punch your try. And that's the only way you can make any money on this race, is to take a stand like that. And if Zandon, it is only a 4-horse race, but you could possibly make more money just betting the right horse to win in this race and just dump all your money on it. And he's 2-1 in the morning line. If I get 2-1 on Zandon, I'll be throwing both fists at him with the money, because I think that's going to be an overlay for him in this race. So there you have it, 5-2, 4-3.
There it is. What did I tell you? 5, 2, 4, and 3. I knew those 4 horses would show up, guys. I also know that if you head over to WagerTalk.com right now, you can visit Marco's page as well as Sig's page. And right now through the weekend, guys, half price on any of these daily packages. Take advantage of that opportunity now. It ends right now, I believe, Sunday night. So opportunity presents itself. Go over there and grab it. It's going to be a huge weekend of racing, not just the Jim Dandy, but plenty of other races throughout the country here. Again, Del Mar, Saratoga, the place to be. And Sig's daily racing reports are always available by 9 a.m. They'll get delivered to you, his favorite plays from all the tracks around the country. But Saratoga and Del Mar, there is opportunities to make money, not just at the track, but Marco's already locked and loaded here, guys, in the MLB, ready to go for a big second half. So let's make it a profitable end to the month of July. And if you hit that bell in the upper right-hand corner, you'll get notified when we go live again. And we'll be back again next week, in fact, talking about more of these races coming up. Travers just around the corner. A lot of opportunities here to cash, guys. On behalf of Marco and Sig, we appreciate the time and the effort, guys. Best of luck with all your plays this weekend. We'll talk to you again next week.